Well, whoops, we crashed. So, a couple things I want to remember when you crash. There's a little damage there. Luckily, it busted mostly at the seams. We had a servo break. But that was pretty fixable since I've had things like this happen before, so I have a bunch of servos and servo parts. I decided to take it apart and replace that gear. Right there. Well, that's the gear that broke anyway, the little one right there. So just replace that. Put the servo back together. And I noticed a couple things. The actual place where the servo is broken. The place where the steering mounts is broken as well. Looks pretty rough there, but that was actually glued back together and it didn't really break anything there. Another thing when I was inspecting, that's broken. Gotta fix that or else I'll lose it. Done that before, so I knew to check that. And it's kind of a quick little run through of what was broken. And when you crash, make sure you pick up all the pieces because you're going to need them, like this piece. Let it sit for a day or two to reform its shape a little bit better. I can actually remove this whole piece. And also make a change. Add a little foam block right in there just to strengthen it up. Make sure I don't make it any heavier. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug it in. I'm going to turn my radio on first. Make sure that's on. And then plug it on in. Make sure the throttle's down. And I'll just check through the controls. Make sure the elevator's working. Left aileron up, left aileron, right aileron. That's working. Up, down, left, right. Of course, the steering is probably not going to work. I can maybe hold it and make it work. Okay, so kind of. I just have to hold it in 3 or 4 places. It needs to be glued, but it'll work. But see, if it's not glued, and that's how you can tell. Sometimes when your steering is not working, something's broken inside that you just don't see. So the servo's going. Ooh, let's not do that. Servo's going, but it's moving around in there. That's a lot of times the problem with your nose gear steering. The video system, I'm probably going to just check that separately, but I know it still works. The reason for the crash is I had it mounted. I had the camera mounted at a downward angle, so it wasn't getting very good. It looked good, and you could, see the ground, because you want to see the ground. I fly it pretty close to the ground and close to me. So you want to see that ground, but when the sun's going down, it doesn't get light in the camera. And if light doesn't go into that sensor, you don't transmit it, and then you don't see very well. And my spotter was normally does a great job, but it was a, dude, what are you doing? Instead of, dude, you're too low. So I came in a little low, and all of this carnage was just really caused by landing a plane that needs to land on a smooth surface on the grass. It caught the grass pretty good and nosed over, and everything kind of popped open. It was going very slow. I was going pilot error, part of it, going way too slow on a landing, approaching too early, and flying in the dark. I mean, a lot of times these crashes can be avoided. Almost all the time. Sometimes you'll have a servo go bad, but, if you see a servo and it does this and it sticks and it's not going back down and stuff like that, just change the servo. It's not going to heal itself. you know, you gotta make your repairs. But everything seems to be working. Let's give it a little throttle. See that that's working. Never been a problem with this bird. Very light beer cooler foam. I don't remember what the model was, but it was a really good design. Really lightweight, pretty quick. Designed for 4-cell out of the box instead of having to convert it and move battery compartments and things. The battery's set further back because the nose used to come way out to here. You know, it was an F-15 at one time. But I actually was testing a receiver that was a very, let's just say, poor quality receiver, even, I guess, lower quality than that, which this one's been working fine, so I don't want to diss it, but it was, I guess you'd say, a relative to this with just the one antenna, really made for little micros, and I don't know if power surged in or whatever, but it just flipped over and crashed, which caused the original crash. But it flew so good, I wanted to put it back together, and it wasn't going to be pretty, so I went ahead and made an FPV, because I'm only seeing out there, and the other people at the flying field says it looks cool in the air, so hey, that works. But yeah, I'll get started trying to put this thing back together and video how that goes. Alright, so you've probably heard of measure twice, cut once. Or you can measure once and be good at making shims. So, I cut it, and I measured it, but I did not push that forward, and I did not push that forward. So I did not get a good measurement. Because it'll go in there, and when this out and this out, yeah, that fits. But it's not tight fit. So, see, you got a shim right there. So that's going to be a little stronger. But if I flip the foam over, it's going to fit better. One thing I will do is try it out a couple of different ways before I glue it. Then your mistake is really done. But I'm sure just with that piece of foam in there, it'll work better. I think one thing I didn't mention in the inspection, this was broken. And I almost did not see it because it was facing down, so I had to replace that. And what that is the little horn that goes on to, well, the linkage that goes onto this control horn. Just like that. Well, it goes in the hole and then you snap it down, but I'm not going to snap it down now because I got to glue everything. And since I'm going in not the wrong order, I can put that back there, get it out of the way, and not glue stuff that doesn't need to be glued. Always be careful what you glue on these models, or you will glue the wrong things. You don't really want to glue your satellite on or anything. Okay. So then we got to plug in the glue and get the glue going. I don't want to break the tail either. We're fixing stuff, not breaking stuff. So let me pull this out. This is the, I'll go from this way. I'm just pulling the shim out and that piece of foam that I was going to put in between that void. That's going to strengthen up the landing gear quite a bit. But before I do that, let me glue the stuff that's actually broken, like right here. I'm going to actually glue that. So we're going to get the glue in there. You got to be careful because you don't want to melt your aircraft. So I'm going to pull that little thing off there. And yeah, I need both hands. I hope you can see okay, but I'm just going to pull this back. Pull that back. Batteries out of the way. And I'm going to glue all in there. Yeah, my glue's going pretty good. I'm going to glue these corners. I'm going to push this back. I'm going to put some glue back in here. Pinch it together and then let that glue dry. And then we're going to move on to the next thing that was loose, because we're going to get the shim in there, and that's going to take care of a lot of our issues here. The light so you can see a little bit better in there. But we're about to put the shim in between there. So let's do that now. So I'm going to put the glue on the shim. Take a little bit of, just going to glue that all up real good. Okay, glue on that shim. Bunch of glue. And or not the shim, this is the main piece that I cut a little too short. I'm going to put it down in there. And then before that dries, I'm going to put a bunch of glue where the shim goes. And on the side here. And then before it dries, I gotta slip that shim down in there. That's gonna get me the right distance there. And I flipped it around so it would be more square. I don't know if that really mattered, but then I pushed it over to the one direction because it is a little short on the one end, so I figured we'll just get that to where it's locked in. If I really wanted to, I can cut another little piece and stuff it down in there. Maybe I'll just do that just because, yeah, we talked about it, so let's do it. So let's cut this piece. Not every repair is beautiful. Alright, so a little more glue in here. I don't want to make this thing 700 pounds. Don't want to add too much weight. And then we're going to stick that in here. And that'll fill that little void. Just like that. Just like that. Fill that little void. So now that's all nice and stiffened up. Now we got to get our servo back. And I normally wouldn't do that. I normally use RTV silicone so I can cut it out easier if it breaks again, but I've got a lot of mileage in this thing, so we're just going to go ahead and use hot glue. Everything's actually sitting in there very nicely though, so we're doing okay so far. See, doing okay. And landing gear's nice and stiff on there. All right, we got that back. Okay, I'm not gonna put a lot of glue on this. I want to be able to get it out again, so I'm gonna put one blob, right, and then one little blob here, and a tiny little one here. Let's get the servo in there. So I push the servo in, push it down from the top so you don't burn your fingers. The servo is seated. In good shape. It's always good to plug it in and center your servo too before you put it in there. It's just a little easier. So this is already centered, so I know how to adjust this arm right here. This screws in and out. When you screw it out, it goes further this way. When you screw it in, it goes further that way, so you can better center your servo. Okay, and I'll improve my lighting if people actually watch this nonsense. Alright. So let's put it backwards. So let's put this back on here. Okay, so that's about where that fits. So everything's looking fair. Okay, so now that's sitting up. Actually, before we glue that in, let's find that piece that we needed right here. This one right here. So let's put that in there. Let's glue that in. Okay, looks like we gotta glue this too. Okay, and hold it till it dries. Don't let go, and you really only got one shot. So just hold it Doesn't take that long to dry. Just has to cool down a little bit. There you go. We'll just let it dry before you manipulate it anymore. And that's something to connect between here and here. So I can point that camera just a little bit down, not as much as last time. Maybe. And we'll get to the next step. I like to go and take any extra glue off. It's just, you know, glue to glue to glue to glue. And but then if it's too stuck on like that, you're just gonna break it more. So yeah, this needs to be glued. Let's get in there and glue this up. You can see I'm not the most skilled here. It looks like I'm running out of glue. And my little blue piece. Alright, so let's get that back on there. Let's hold that. That's good. Put this back in. Alright, so got this here. We're going to feed through down here. That's where it connects to a little battery that goes up here. The very small 3-cell. Seems to work really good. Okay, so that really is fitting back there very well. I got lucky and it popped apart at the seams, so that fits real nice. Let's get some glue on there and finish that out. Oh, we need more glue. Yeah, you always want to have your stuff together before you get started. Because I've had that glue. Let's see. Alright, and so we're going to go down this end. Glue's much better when you have plenty of glue stick too. Actually pushes down there better. There you go. Ow, goodness. That's easy to do. Don't burn yourself on the glue. I was so focused on the antenna. Was that target fixation? Oh boy. I burnt myself just a little. Just a little. Look, I'm gonna live. It'll be fine. Okay, that's on there nice. I'm not gonna glue this yet. I'm gonna glue that once I get the foam piece in. This is where this comes in handy. Pull that off of there. Just like that. So now you don't have too much excess glue. There's really not much excess glue left at all. There it is there. So now we're getting a little closer. And I guess I'm gonna have to. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Don't want to do that yet. See, live mistake. Luckily, it's kind of like a hatch. God, that's stupid. Okay. Yeah, see, that's a huge mistake I made. I didn't connect all this stuff together before putting this in. I just got don't know what. No excuse there. That was just dumb. So now, a part that wasn't broken is going to be a little broken. It's okay. It's actually not bad, but you know, it's easy to make these kind of mistakes when you're just trying to do it as quick as you can, kind of deal. And I didn't screw that down too. That would have been an issue. But everything's fixable. You just gotta fix your mistake right away before the glue fully dries. So it's just easier, I found, to take this off, this horn, put it in like this, point it down. Oh gosh, probably not even seeing any of this. So I put the servo horn in there like that. And I'm gonna make sure that fits. My goodness. Okay, and press that down. Okay, put it back on top of the servo. So now you got your servo in place. Glue here and here. Put this back in. And here we go again. It's fine. It's not a huge deal, but we did add some weight by gluing this twice. That kind of, it's not the greatest thing ever, but not the end of the world either. All right, let's see. None of this is. If you ever crash, don't get too upset. Everybody just looks at you like, come on. What are we doing out here? Even if... So, let's glue that guy back on there. And these jets, you got to be aware you're only flying for a few minutes. So when you got a whole field full of people, you got to let everybody know that, hey, I'm up and down in 3 minutes, and see what, kind of flights everybody else has, to just avoid those problems altogether. Communication's big and helpful and not crashing. Okay, so this will pretty much go here, just like that. See, I picked up all my pieces, so I'll be able to put it back together. Should get a light on that so you can actually see it. But that's what it looks like. See, I picked up the pieces, so now I can glue them back together. Unfortunately, I gotta take that light down. I'm gonna put this over here. It doesn't really help. And then, so we'll just put a little glue on this, just like that. Some there, a little bit here. I'm not gonna coat it, cover it, because that didn't really do a lot of structure or anything. It's just there. So without getting too much glue on our fingers. And then, so I pushed that in too far. So now I'm gonna just take my popsicle stick and pop it out a little bit. It's always good to keep a popsicle stick around when you're doing this. Okay, so now that's good. I don't want to glue my wires. I did anyway, but I didn't want to. I guess they're not going to go around too far anymore. So it's not actually bad that those are glued a little. Okay. So, the original piece, well, let's just glue it. See, it's I missed a piece when I picked it up. It was black foam in the grass, so I didn't see it. Else I would have picked it up. Not that I would have already used this. This is just to show you kind of how the thing was set up initially. So this was here, like that. And then this was here, like this. Because believe it or not, brightness was an issue. So I had a little hood on it in the summer. My goodness. Cinematographer of the year. Jeez. But yeah, that's not quite how. Okay, now we got our final pieces cut. Put a little slot in the bottom of that. Probably could have found a less chewed up piece, but this piece tends to get chewed up. And then we got this little piece to go in the corner. Okay, so we're going to first try and straighten out this corner with this little angular piece here. There we go. Let's put a little glue here, a little glue here. Oh gosh, too much glue there. That's okay. Just move this out of the way. Wow. And I'm not going to glue the bottom. Well, yeah, why not? Let's just glue the bottom of the camera in. And let's drop everything. And get a little glue on the lens. Luckily it's not on the visual part. Alright, so now we got this piece right here. Oh, that was not that far enough. So much for gluing it in. Stuck in one of the right places, not the other. Okay. And we'll put just a dab here, and here, and then a little bit. That's the front. We'll just put a little bit here, and a little bit there. Don't get a ton of glue. We've already used more glue than you really want to use. Let's get this in that slot. Make sure that's pushed down the way I want it. So, actually, air. As long as air gets through there a little bit, it's fine. Not a long flight, too, so. And you want it straight with the fuselage. You want that camera going straight down there. Even though the front doesn't look too straight, I did try and put the actual camera pretty straight. Now it has all works again. And maybe the last thing is just go through, get all these little strings and stuff off. But yeah, that's how you can possibly fix a plane that's been crashed. Yeah, there's the video. So that's working good. And next we'll do the controls. Scoot this up so you can see it. Off the table a little. Let's hold it good. Let's keep screwing it up. So ailerons, elevator. Let's see this rudder we worked so hard on. Alright, everything's working good. Video, everything. Let's give the motor a little spin up. That battery. And we're good. So it's pretty much ready to go. Maybe a little sub trim on the rudder now that it's been changed a little, and we're good to go.